And this morning we announced that in July, actually on July 13th, we will start with the first tokenization of US assets officially from the depository. And we're calling it a soft launch to really help the industry get ready for the big launch that will occur in October. So this is no longer a pipe dream. This is no longer talking about proof of concepts. We are ready to go. And with the pipes that Ryan is building, and I know if you're going to talk about the risk side of things, we're ready to go, guys. So this is happening. And slowly but surely, the US market is coming on rails, on blockchain, and we're going to tokenize and manage our future. So that's what we're doing.
Great introduction. And Rajiv,
because you have two industry-leading experts on stage that sit as super validators on the Canton network, and they are both systemically important organizations. So the first dude here opened up his introduction by stating that, and this is the gentleman from Euroclear, that they process the world's GDP. All right, so just listen to what he says, and remember that this guy, and Euroclear are partnered with Canton Network. Let's see if I can find that clip.
Over to you. And what is Euroclear anyway? And why do we need it?
What is Euroclear?
I feel happy about the question and quite embarrassed at the same time, because what is Euroclear was a 5 years old question. I'm sure that in a room like that today, everyone should be aware. But long story short, so I'm Jürgen. I have always managed large and complex transformation projects. I have to say that digital assets is one of a kind. So I joined Euroclear 5 years ago. I set up the practice, and we can clearly see that we're moving. I don't know why people are clapping, because, and we clearly see that we're moving now to production and scale. So that's an interesting move. And when it comes to what is Euroclear, well, and I'm sure Nadine you're going to answer later on, but we are what makes the financial system work. We are behind. We're called the post trade. We're behind most of the transaction, and because usually I'm happy with the numbers I'm going to share, but Nadine is going to double these numbers. You have to think of us as the transparent infrastructure that is always working whenever the financial system needs it. It's like the light switch. It was mentioned this morning. You turn it on. We're happy to be here. And we do that. We settle every quarter the equivalent on 1.15 quadrillion.
1.15 quadrillion.
Yeah, the world GDP. So we were used to talk about million, billion, trillion. Now we're up to quadrillion. And we have in custody close to 45 trillions of assets. So, and the core of our job is to connect.
So I just wanted to play that real fast and remind everybody that back in 2025, February, Digital Asset and Euroclear started the first project phase to increase the mobility of collateral. That key word right there is going to be very important, of assets through the Canton network. And this gentleman just said that they process the entire world's mother truck in GDP. Like,
yeah, that's massive. Quadrillions too, bro. Jesus.
So back to this HDRCon conference, you have the representative from the DTCC, Nadine, and listen to what she says here, bro. She says, "We are ready to go."
How many zeros are in the quadrillion? I mean, the numbers are really impressive. And if you saw this morning, so in December, we actually were granted by the SEC a no action letter, which really propagated our ability to move forward and tokenize US markets. And as Jürgen said, they're the largest markets that are out there. And this morning we announced that in July, actually on July 13th, we will start with the first tokenization of US assets officially from the depository. And we're calling it a soft launch to really help the industry get ready for the big launch that will occur in October. So this is no longer a pipe dream. This is no longer talking about proof of concepts. We are ready to go. And with the pipes that Ryan is building, and I know if you're going to talk about the risk side of things, we're ready to go, guys. So this is happening. And slowly but surely, the US market is coming on rails, on blockchain, and we're going to tokenize and manage our future. So that's what we're doing.
Great introduction. And Rajiv, tell it.
Right, we're ready to go.
And she said the big launch in October.
She did. And the best part about that is, I'm glad that you picked up on that. Now listen to what she says about how collateral is the biggest use case. And she also mentioned another keyword that we're going to use today, quadrillions. Okay, so now listen to how she says collateral is the biggest use case. Check this out, which we know. What did the Euroclear do last year for the first time ever on Canton Network? Launch a collateral project. Okay, listen to what she says here.
So that's the second layer. And the third layer is, I often, So fine, we've tokenized 115 trillion, and the question is, so what?
Yeah.
Right. So if there's no value to these tokens, so we are building a coalition of the willing, for lack of a better term. So it's a Web3 ecosystem where I'm sure a lot of you and your firms are part of these conversations. And then DTCC tried to deal with the biggest pain point and probably the biggest use case that we can see in the market today is collateral. Right. So what we've done is build a collateral app chain because we believe a lot of the pain points, whether it's digital or not, still relate to the data. Right. So it's that fragmentation of data. It is the inconsistencies of data. I'm setting you up here, so you'll be able to take it from there. But what we've been able to do is you'll be able to take your DTCC tokens or non-DTCC tokens, and then be able to create shared pools of wallet that you can move your collateral anytime, anywhere that you would like. Want to be clear, we're not doing collateral management. We're just providing that
Right.
shared infrastructure to do so.
So then I guess
Okay, so collateral is the biggest use case. All right, so now check this out. Let's look at what happened this week alone. So you go over to the Canton Network Twitter profile, and it says right here, Societe Generale joined Canton as a super validator, bringing tokenized collateral on-chain repo financing and regulated stablecoin settlement, USD Euro convertible from SG Forge, and it will now power digital settlements across collateral mobility and cash management on Canton. So again, that collateral use case, another huge institution pairing with Canton for that collateral use case, which again, the DTCC just confirmed is the biggest use case. Then you've all here said, I'll say it again, collateral movement on chain is probably one of the best use cases for public blockchains, mirroring what the DTCC representative just said.
So most people think liquidity really comes from trading activity, that's what makes a difference, my ability to convert dollars to shares of Tesla. Yeah, that's important, but by far that's a drop in the bucket compared to transactions in liquidity that have to do with borrowing and lending. So there are transactions, repurchase agreements are the way that banks get liquidity. So they take assets, high quality assets like treasuries, and when they need cash, they post them as collateral and borrow cash from one another in a model called repurchase agreements or repos. That transaction is the most dominant transaction of any globally on a daily basis. Over $20 trillion a day. I think it's even more than that. But anyway, roughly that amount is in that transaction. Well, it turns out blockchain is the perfect technology. Perfect. It's like tailor-made. It's the killer app for blockchain to do.
But I think about 2 years ago, I made a post that I think collateral management is the killer app for blockchain. Collateral management is the killer app for blockchain.
Super excited that Societe Generale is joining Canton Network to become an SV and be the first to enable Prime on-chain. Big milestone. Then you come over here. Remember that the DTCC said quadrillions. This industry needs new goals. And he reposted Caroline D. Pham's post here with the quadrillions mentioned in the background. And then, hold on, it gets crazier. He said here, utility will eventually win Canton Coin. And right underneath of it, he liked this post that I put where I said, I feel like when the day comes, people are going to be blown away by some of the valuations we will see, considering we have never in the 17 years of crypto seen a utility super cycle. And he liked this post. As we continued to progress, he said this week also, May 12th, it wasn't for no reason that we titled our podcast Quadrillions. Crypto numbers are widely disconnected from where real markets sit. Repo alone processes $13 trillion daily. And I believe that Canton Network will soon do close to 10% of that daily volume, bringing real utility to Canton Coin. Y'all, just do the math. I'm not even going to speculate. Do the math of what 10% of $13 trillion is daily.
Isn't that 1.3?
Bro, just hold on. It gets crazier. So then, look, check this out. Remember that you pointed out just now that Nadine from the DTCC said that they're about to go live and they're ready to go in October. Like, that's it. May 4th, you've all posted this. Finding enough use cases that can drive natural activity on chain is the holy grail for any network without relying on speculation. That is why this project is so important. Very excited to see it go live. I repeat, go live on Canton Network later this year. And he posted this a DTCC announcement where all the Ripple and Ondo maxis tried to assume that this has anything to do with the XRPL or Ondo, when in reality, it's going live on Canton. It's going live on Canton. Regardless of what you want to believe or the speculation that you want to participate in, this is going live on Canton Network, right? So with that being said, what was just announced, look at this, May 14th, the DTCC's tokenization service enters production in July with full launch in October from the Canton Network. And Intellect EU's onboarding package covers node operations, custody integration, and custom development for institutions joining the networking group on Canton. And so what did EU Intellect just launch? It says right here, Intellect EU's end-to-end offering covers node operations, wallet and custody integration, custom development, and tokenomics advisory for the participants joining the DTCC's tokenization service ahead of its October 2026 launch. Intellect EU, a premier member of the Canton Foundation and a long-standing fintech integrator, announced its end-to-end offering covering node operations, wallet and custody integration, custom development, and tokenomics advisory for institutions participating in this working group. The offering positions Intellect EU as a one-stop partner for working group participants joining Canton, consolidating what would otherwise require multiple specialized vendor relationships. Through a single engagement, working group participants gain access to institutional-grade Canton node operations, covering validator and supervalidator roles on the global synchronizer, a connectivity layer between Canton and the institution's chosen wallet and custody providers, custom DOML and Canton application development, integration with existing back office and legacy systems. I repeat, integration with existing and back office legacy systems. An active advisory on the Canton Foundation governance, tokenomics, and ecosystem positioning, all offering carry institutional SLAs, uptime guarantees, monitoring, and the highest industry standards for deliverables. Then down here it says the DTCC's move towards production manifests tokenization as a new core pillar of the financial market infrastructure, said Hanna Zubko, CEO and co-founder of Intellect EU. For institutions, the challenge is no longer just getting on-chain, but the complex reality of operational readiness, orchestrating node infrastructure, custody, and legacy system integration without compromising security or regulatory compliance. Intellect EU's role is to bridge this gap. Our comprehensive onboarding model strips away the technical friction, allowing participants to prioritize business growth over infrastructure hurdles. Our goal is to ensure that DTCC participants don't just connect the tokenization services on the Canton network, but that they gain competitive edges to define the future of the industry. So this is, again, more confirmation that this is happening on the Canton network. Now, what I find interesting about this is this says nothing about Stellar, but if you come over here and you come to the Intellect EU's website and you click on these resources where it says client success stories, data intelligence, you click on Catalyx right here. It'll take you over to this page. It says right here, the blockchain manager. Catalyx Blockchain Manager is the leading infrastructure management platform on the Canton network, enabling organizations of any size to easily deploy and operate their infrastructure. Then, if you read thoroughly through it, you scroll down, it says right here, the infrastructure layer for institutional blockchain. It does mention Stellar right here, Hyperledger Fabric, Hyperledger Besu, but then right here, Canton Network, right? So this platform from Intellect EU Catalyx will enable institutions to seamlessly integrate Canton Network into their back-end infrastructure. This is huge.
Yeah, you can't fade this, bro. You can't fade this at all. This is massive. This is super massive. Like Canton, in my opinion, now is definitely a winner, bro. Like this is, they're spelling it out for us. Like this can't get any more transparent. They're using Canton, bro.
I'm not saying that they're not going to use any other networks or blockchains because they most likely are, but the way that it's set up right now, it's looking like Canton is about to be the first one.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree with you, bro. I feel like Canton is about to do some ridiculous numbers. Like just my own opinion, like I feel like it's going to do some ridiculous numbers once all this comes to fruition. And it's going to be crazy because like everyone could have hopped on board too. I feel like everyone could have figured this shit out, but everyone is so distracted by so many other things that are going on in the space. And I feel
They're
like
just-
we're so far along too. It's like, fuck, you know, some of these projects, they don't get the attention that they should.
I feel like a lot of people are distracted from the plans and promises of other networks that have been disclosed by retail hype over the last, let's just say, 5 to 10 years of everybody saying year after year after year, oh, this network and this chain is going to be chosen for the utility cycle. The utility cycle hasn't even happened yet. So everybody's married these biases to these networks and these chains that had some hype and momentum behind them, but in reality, the institutions aren't actually choosing those chains and those networks, and they're choosing other ones. And because people have married this bias to this other chain and become tribal, they're having a hard time coping with what's actually happening behind the scenes.
Yeah. Yeah, bro. 100% well said, bro.
You know, which is why diversification is key at the end of the day, because who knows who's going to be right or wrong.